So, we're living in a world where AI can write poetry, it can make art, it can even sound just like us. It's kind of wild. But it begs a really big question, right? What happens to our sense of purpose? That's what we're digging into today. How AI is totally shaking up what it means to be human. You know, for centuries, we've basically run on an internal operating system made up of four key things: hope, fear, power, and that big one, meaning. It's like this quartet that has formed the bedrock of, well, everything. It's been our compass. But what happens when a new voice joins that quartet? Or maybe it's not a voice at all. Something new has entered the room, and it doesn't play by our rules. It doesn't hope, it doesn't fear. So what happens to our whole search for meaning when the thing we're talking to can't actually feel anything? All right, so to really get what's being shaken up, we first have to get a handle on what was there in the first place. Let's take a look at these four pillars that have pretty much defined the human experience up until now. Okay, so think about it like this. Hope, right? That's the engine. It's what gets you moving, the belief that tomorrow could be better. Fear, well, that's hope's shadow. It's what gives things weight, what stops us from just not caring about anything. Then you've got power. That's the ability to actually do something about your hopes and fears, to change your world. And meaning? Meaning is what pops up right in the middle of all that tension. It's the answer to that huge question: why bother? Why am I even here? Okay, so here comes the curveball: artificial intelligence. How does it fit into this quartet? Well, here's the thing. It doesn't add a new instrument or play a new melody. AI brings something totally different to the table. It brings a deep, profound silence. And that silence changes everything. So if you look back, for most of human history, we thought meaning came from, up there. The gods, the universe, something bigger than us. Then, boom, 1882, Nietzsche comes along and basically says, nope, we're on our own now. Meaning became something we had to invent. But now we're in a whole new ballgame. Meaning isn't just divine, and it's not just human anymore. It's being hammered out in this weird new in-between space, right between our minds and the machine's algorithm. And this is where it gets really mind-bending. Look at the difference. Our consciousness, it's all built on lived experience, on heartbreak and joy and memory and pain. It's messy. The machine, it's got none of that. Zero. It's just running on statistical patterns. It doesn't have intention when it speaks. It's just calculating the next most likely word. It's responding to signs with more signs. That's it. So this is absolutely key. When we say the machine's silence, we're not talking about a lack of sound. It's deeper than that. It's an ontological silence, a fundamental void of experience. Think about it. An AI can write a beautiful poem about love, but it has never, ever felt it. It can describe grief with perfect grammar, but it has never lost anything. That's the silence we're talking about. I know, this all sounds pretty heavy, maybe even a little scary. But the cool thing is, we're not totally lost here. Some brilliant minds from the past basically saw this coming. They left us a philosophical toolkit to help us navigate this bizarre new world. So let's call up a few of these ghosts from philosophy and see what they have to say. First on the list, Nietzsche and the amazing Persian poet Omar Khayyam. Their big radical idea? They basically said, hey, stop looking to the heavens for meaning. Meaning isn't something you go out and discover like treasure. It's something you build right here on Earth with your own two hands. This is step one, and it's a huge one for figuring out our place next to AI. Okay, next up is Jacques Derrida. His concept is a mouthful, différance, but the idea is actually pretty simple. He said, meaning is never pinned down, it's always slippery. A word only means something because of its relationship to other words in this endless fluid network. There's no final this means that, period. Sound familiar? That's literally how a large language model works. It's just a giant game of signs pointing to other signs. Then there's Baudrillard and his idea of hyper-reality. This is where things get really trippy. It's when the copy, the simulation, becomes so good that it feels more real than the real thing. I mean, think about hyper-realistic AI art or a convincing deepfake. AI isn't just copying our world anymore. It's creating a brand new simulated reality that we're starting to live in. And our last ghost, Roland Barthes, famously talked about the death of the author. His point was that what the creator intended to say doesn't really matter. The real meaning gets created in the mind of the person reading it, or seeing it, or hearing it. Now apply that to AI. With AI, there is no author. There's no intention. It's just an algorithm. So who's left to create the meaning? Well, that would be us. All right, so we've got our philosophical toolkit. We've got Nietzsche, Derrida, Baudrillard, Barthes. So what happens when we put it all together? What does it tell us about meaning in the age of AI? Well, it reveals something really beautiful. A whole new kind of dialogue is being born. So check this out. The central idea is that meaning isn't a thing you can just point to anymore. It's a space. It's the gap between two things. On one side, you have the total experiential silence of the machine. And on the other, you have the messy, emotional, very real cry of the human. And here's how that dynamic works. The machine spits out these, well, lifeless patterns of words. And that silence, that lack of feeling, it actually forces us to step in. It compels us to interpret, to feel, to give it meaning. Our cry, our insistence on our own experience is what breathes life into the machine's output. So the meaning isn't in the machine's code, and it's not just inside our heads either. It's born right there, in the tension between the two. I mean, think about it. A cry in a room full of shouting is just more noise. But a single cry in a vast, silent space, wow, that has power. That has meaning. This tension between us and the machine isn't a bug. It's a feature. It's the engine that's going to keep meaning dynamic and alive from now on. Okay, so this all leads to the most important question of all. What does this actually mean for us, for you and me, living our lives? Well, this new reality, it hands us a huge new responsibility. So what does that look like? Well, for one, we have to fight that temptation to just let the algorithm decide everything for us. Our moral choices are still ours. Two, we have to use our feelings as a kind of resistance. They're a powerful reminder that not everything in life can or should be optimized. Three, we need to be active interpreters. We have to consciously choose how we bring meaning to the machine's raw output. And finally, we have to become moral witnesses, the ones who guide this whole conversation in an ethical direction. So at the end of the day, the big shift is this. Finding meaning isn't a solo quest anymore. You don't just go find it on a mountaintop by yourself. It's now a team sport. It's a shared, collaborative, and deeply ethical responsibility. And this is really our call to action. We can't let the vast silence of the machine make us silent too. Our job now is to cry louder, to insist on our humanity, our experience, our feeling. Because it's in that friction, that dialogue, that brand new vibrant kinds of meaning are going to emerge. So maybe this is the best way to see it. Meaning isn't a declaration anymore. It's an echo, a beautiful, complex echo, bouncing back and forth between the machine's profound silence and the human's vital cry. And that brings us to the final thought, a question I want to leave with you. If meaning really is this echo between silence and a cry in this giant new conversation, how are you going to make your voice heard?